Okay, so a while back, gospelproducers.com released an instrument plugin called Doobie Powell's Peculiar Instruments, all right? And it was really cool. Was able to grab it, and I've actually used it, matter of fact, on the video that was on the channel a few weeks ago with me producing some music for the new EP that I'm working on called Sacrifice. You heard some of the sounds, especially at the end of the video on the song My Cross, that glide pad that was in there, that was from that plugin. Well, they have produced a second version of the plugin called Doobie Powell's Peculiar Sounds V2, which I'm assuming stands for version 2, and we're gonna take a look at it.
At McCrae Music.
Before we get into taking a look at Peculiar Sounds version 2, I just want to give a shout out to gospelproducers.com. If you spend any kind of time in this space, the YouTube space, the audio engineering space, the production space, you know that there is not much content geared towards gospel or R&B. Most of the content in terms of training videos, in terms of plugins and the like, and instruments are geared towards rock or geared towards hip hop. And so gospelproducers.com is a really great resource for those of us who are primarily or often producing gospel music or producing R&B music. On their website, you will find a wide variety of plugins for both live implementation of stuff and also studio or production stuff, as well as training videos and just other cool things that are geared specifically towards our community. So shout out to you guys at gospelproducers.com. You're really doing great work, and I appreciate what you guys are doing over there. Okay, let's take a look at Doobie Powell Peculiar Sounds version 2. Now, the first thing before we jump over and take a closer look at it is, if you have Peculiar Sounds, the first one, you need to know that this is not an upgrade, this is a cross grade, meaning this is a completely separate VST. So if you already have the first Doobie Powell Peculiar Sounds, you're gonna still have that one, and then you're also gonna have a V2. I would have preferred that it would have been an upgrade so that I didn't have two versions of the plugin, but I understand why they needed to do that, because there's just a completely different set of mechanics and things that are added into the tool, and they probably had to kind of rebuild it from the ground up. So just starting off, I want you to know that. The second thing that I want you to know before we get into it is that, again, it is Peculiar Sounds and it is from gospelproducers.com. So most of the sounds, or pretty much, in my opinion, all of the sounds are geared towards gospel and R&B. So the way that they were sampled and the particular sound choices that were made when they were sampling, the different instruments that they sampled, was geared specifically towards making music that is in those spaces. Or I would say you could add like the lo-fi or kind of the jazz space in there too. If you're familiar with Doobie Powell's work, you know he kind of is in all those different areas, neo soul, right? So the sounds that we're going to hear are geared more towards that genre and those styles of music. All right, so with all that being said, let's jump over and take a look at Doobie Powell Peculiar Sounds version 2. All right, guys, this is Peculiar Sounds V2. The interface is going to look very familiar because, again, it is based on V1, and I want you to remember this is a cross grade, not an upgrade, right? So if I look over here at my VSTs, look at Gospel Producers, I've got Peculiar Sounds and Peculiar Sounds V2. That's fine. I'm sure you could uninstall the first one. I just haven't done that as of yet. So the interface is going to look very familiar. Let's just take a look at a few things, and we'll talk about the things I love about the interface and the things that I would like to see maybe some adjustments made to it. It is a different style of interface. It will take a little bit of getting used to, even if you have V1, because there's some new features, and we're going to take a look at those features. All right, so first of all, we can have a classic mode, which is how it looked before, or dark mode. I prefer classic. Here we are going to see all of our envelopes, all right? And you're going to notice that there is a set for layer 1 and for layer 2. One of the cool things that they've added to version 2 is the addition of layering, right? So we can layer sounds together. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. We have our common stuff here. We have our mod and our pitch wheel. If I start moving stuff on my MIDI controller, I can see that. Now it's doing it for the mod. It's not moving anything for the pitch. Not sure why that is, but that's how that is there. Now, down at the bottom here, and this is one of the first things I would like to see as an option, is I'd like to be able to hide this keyboard. I don't really need it, and it makes the window larger. I'd like to be able to get rid of that. I mean, it's cool because as we start playing stuff, and you can just hear the default patch just loaded, right? We can see that there, and I'm sure if you had a touch screen type situation, I'm sure that you could do that as well. All right, because we can see the keys working here when I use my mouse. I personally don't need that. I'd like to have the option to be able to hide it. So that I can just focus on this area and just make this whole area larger. Okay. All right. So then above here, we of course have our master volume. And then we have these options here. Now, I will say it was a little confusing for me, this pages thing here and this preset here. I know now that these are the labels. That was a little confusing to me at first. I would like to see maybe these kind of maybe be in a different color to let me know that this is just a heading, right? But these are the labels. So these are the different pages. We have a MIDI browser. We'll talk about that in a moment. And we have our layer mixer, which we'll talk about. And then over here, we have the ability to move previous or next through our different presets. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Over here, we have our layering control, which we're going to get to. And then, of course, here we have our meters where we can see what's going on there. We have our panic button here. I haven't used that. Typically, that's in an environment where we're live and something goes wrong with our loop and we need to just, or with our stems and we need to just go back to like a click or something. So I'm sure we could do something like that with this. Maybe if you're using an arpeggiation or something crazy is happening, that works. You can, and here's another cool thing, you can use this standalone, right? If you take a look, if I go into my Finder here and I go to my applications, there is a standalone version. Here it is right here, Peculiar Sounds V2 standalone. So you can use this standalone, right? So that's pretty cool if you're in a live setting as opposed to a production setting and you want to start using some of these sounds, you can absolutely do that. And the panic button will probably have more use for you in that kind of setting. Here's a size area. We can adjust the size of the plugin. I really like that. Again, this would be great, again, if that keyboard was hidden and I could just have this be a part of that sizing. So that's cool. 100% is good. And then, of course, we have our settings button here where we can adjust some things, watch tutorials, get into some of their other plugins and things of that nature. All right, cool. All right. But let's talk about the sounds. Let's get into some of the sounds. Now, in my opinion, if we take a look here, first of all, we have our different presets. So this area up here, this search area, is going to be for the presets, all right? Some of the presets may involve multiple layers, right? But these are just the preset sounds that they have provided for us. So we have our factory sounds, and all of the V1 library is included in this. So if you have like your favorite patches, like there are certain patches that I love from V1, I'm happy to report they are here. So we can find those in here, right? So we have factory and we have our different categories, right? Then here are some specifically for V2. Here is, I believe this is the sounds from the block add-in that is here. And then here is a user bank where we can save our own presets, which I always love to do. Okay. Now, in my opinion, the strengths of, in terms of sounds, the strengths of this plugin are going to be your pads and your leads and probably your basses. The pads, like, again, this is called peculiar sounds. So some of the sounds are weird. So which is, I love. So the pads, especially the glide pads and the glide synths, are really sweet. So let's start by just taking a look at some of those. And we're not going to obviously go through all the banks here, but let's just go to factory and let's go to glide pads and let's see what kind of stuff we have in here. Let's just play some of these. This kind of stuff is cool. I think I actually used this in one of my songs actually that I was working on. So these are cool. Right, just cool little weird sounds that you can add in, right? Let's look at some of these. Cheap Sign. Right, just amazing. Circus, this is one I've used for sure. Whew. I love it. Really cool stuff. Doobie Sign. There's a bunch of these in here. Right? Cool stuff that's in here, right? So those are just the glide. Those are some of my favorite sounds, and I'm going to show you how when we go into the layering, we can start tweaking some of those. But of course, we can start tweaking things with our attack and decay and sustain. We're not going to do all that kind of stuff here. Let's look at some of the other things that are here. We do have keys in here, right? There are some cool key sounds in here. I would probably use keys if I'm layering in here. I don't know that I would immediately go to keys in here for just standalone keys. I'd probably lean more towards Keyscape for those things, but I can definitely see some implementation that if I'm layering or if I'm doing things that just require that particular sound, right? All right, so all cool stuff in here, keys. All right. Oh, there's a glide Rhodes in here. What's that do? That's cool. Good stuff in here, right? We got pads, right? So all kinds of stuff in here. Here's a pulsing pad. All good stuff, right? This is nice. The reverse pad, what's that do? So all kinds of cool sounds in here. You start exploring these. Let's go to leads, since I said the strength of this was leads as well. Some of these other leads in here. This is great. Right, what's this one do? Right, so we can include these. Let's look at some of the things specific to version 2 that were added in here. Let's look at some of the new glide synths that are in here and see. So again, cool stuff. Now again, some of these are going to have layers here, some funky layers. Right? So all great stuff, right? And again, you can explore. We can spend a long time going through all these different banks, but all different kinds of cool sounds. Let's see some of the new leads. That's nice. That's nice. Like, this is good stuff. What's this? Anomaly. Like these leads, I'm gonna be using these. Like, there's just good stuff in here. There's also a search area up here so that we can search. Let's search for sign, for example. Let's see what we get. We can get all these sign things. All good stuff in here, like so. All right, so that is great. Okay, now we have the ability to layer, all right? Here is one of the things I also would like to see added. When I search up here, I have the ability to search for patches and things. When I come down to my layering control, I do not have that ability. I would like to see a feature added where I could like select this layer, and then if I start searching for things, it only impacts that layer, right? Because if I choose something here, let's say I choose Toy Bells, and then I want to add a specific sound to layer 2, right? If I turn on layer 2 and I come over here and I go to, let's say we go back to pads and we choose Amen Choir, it changes everything because these are for presets, right? So I'd like to see an ability added where I can search for my layers or inside of this layers area as well. But let's try out some of these things. And I've also noticed that some of the patch names are a little bit different between the two areas. So like I like, what was that Rhodes we were just looking at? There was a Rhodes in here somewhere that we were just looking at that of course now I'm not going to be able to find. But let's say, for example, I think it was this one, DP Rhodes Wet. The actual name of this is not DP Rhodes Wet. It's like 029 just Rhodes. Okay, so that kind of is a little confusing. So I'd like to see some changes made there as well to make it easier to find the specific patches that I'm looking for. All right, but that's cool. So I have that sound. Now let's come over here. Let's turn on layer 2 and let's just turn on a pad. Matter of fact, let's turn on Doobie Sign. And I can control the volume of each. So let's turn the Rhodes down. We got that going on here. Let's switch to more of a pad. Let's try the away pad. Right, and we can start adjusting our layers. Now, if I really want to start playing around with my layers, I can go into the layer mixer. So this is really cool, and this is where a lot of the power of V2 is. If I come into my layer mixer, I can start adjusting things. So again, I can choose my specific sounds, but then I can also start doing some things, right? I can start panning them. I can start adjusting the width. The layer 2, where that pad is really narrow. So let's widen that, right? All right, so that makes it a little bit wider, so that's cool. I can adjust the effect sends. I'll show you where the effects are in just a moment. I can do my high passes, my low pass. I can also adjust the glide. So I can basically take any instrument I want and turn it into a glide instrument, right? So I can start adjusting things. Let's just listen just to this Rhodes. Let's turn the glide on. It's now a glide Rhodes. Right. So that's pretty cool. I could turn that down. Right, so that's pretty cool. If I want to adjust that, I could turn that off. That's really great. I can start transposing. You know that when we're doing layering, sometimes, especially with like pads, the pad might be too deep. Let's see if we can find another pad for layer 2 here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's use that circus that I like. Let's see what that's sounding like. Let's turn the glide on for that. Let's turn that down a little bit. Let's throw a little high pass on there. Right? And then if I wanted to, I could transpose this. Now they have it where if we needed to transpose, like to switch keys, we could do that. Most commonly though, I think we would use that to just go octaves up or down, right? So I'm gonna go up an octave here. So that's kind of cool. So let's bring that down a little bit and let's work the Rhodes in. And let's work this up a little bit. Let's take some of that harshness off of the top. That's kind of cool in the background. That's kind of cool. Or we could go back down to where it was before. Something there. So this is really great, right? We can go from mono to poly. We can do splits, which I'm not going to do here. So if I wanted to have it split at a certain zone, maybe I'm trying to do like a key bass type thing, keys up here, bass down there, or maybe you have bells, right? And we want to layer bells, but only up in our upper register. We can control all of that right here through our layering, right? So that is really cool. All right, let's see if we can use some of these patches here to do something, all right? So I've got just a very, very quick, simple loop. Let's just play this loop that I made here. Very simple loop. Let's see if let's use some of these sounds here in this loop and see what we can come up with here. So we're gonna start by doing, let's just go right to some glide stuff because I like those, and we'll just play around with some stuff and let's see what we got. Here we go. I mean, we got something there. So we started out with just this. And then all this is the peculiar sound stuff. That is fantastic. All right, the one thing I did not point out here is the MIDI browser. This is cool. There's a bunch of different MIDI loops and things in here that we can play. If I play some of these. Now they'll play with whatever patch you have loaded, but they have bass grooves, all these different kinds of things. And then all we have to do, if I move this out of the way, is just grab this. This is click and drag to drop MIDI. Again, we can transpose, we can do octaves. I can drag and drop this right out onto Logic, and then I could apply whatever patch I want. So here it is. Let's just throw a keys patch on here real quick. Let's throw that same piano patch that I'm using up here. Let's throw that down here. So this is really great if you're looking for ideas to start a track with, or just, something to add, right? We can just go right into our MIDI browser. You can explore all these different, there's drum grooves, keys, vibes, all kinds of things in here. We can audition them, and then when we're ready, we can drag and drop them out onto our MIDI area and use whatever patch we want. All right, so as you guys know, I like to take you to the actual manufacturer website and show you the prices of things. As you can see, gospelproducers.com. Link will be in the description for this. Peculiar Sounds V2 is right there on their main page because this is brand new. You can scroll through there and you can see the other things that they have in here, and you can explore some of those. And then, like I said, they do have training and different classes. Take a look at those. I have looked at, I bought the John Yosh recording and mixing class, and it is amazing. I definitely want to take a look at some of the others here. But you are here to learn about the pricing for Peculiar Sounds V2, so let's take a look. If I say get it now, if you are getting it from scratch, it is $199. So this is a $200 plugin. If you are cross grading, so if you have V1, I believe the cross grade price is $99. That's what it was at the time that I got it and I was able to cross grade. It's probably not showing you that here because I've already cross graded and I'm signed into my account. But so look into that. Hopefully that's something that's still available. But if you are buying this just straight from scratch, you don't have V1, you can pick that up for $200, which is moderately priced for all the different things that it gives you. I definitely think that that is worth it if you can find an application for it, if the sounds and things fit into what you're doing. I think that that is definitely a good price. They also have different videos in here where you can see and some of the other sounds, maybe some sounds that you didn't see here. And so that is pretty cool. Oh yeah, here's the cross grade right here. It is still $99 for your cross grade. So that's great. If you are a V1 user, right? They're saying upgrade. It's really a cross grade, right? And you can go ahead and grab that. And the cool thing is it does work inside of all of your different DAWs. I was using Logic. It does work inside of Ableton, Reason, Pro Tools. Not sure what that is. I don't know if that's Studio One. I'm assuming that's FL Studio right there. But you can use it there as well. All right, guys. That is the plugin. I hope that was helpful to you. If you are considering purchasing it for the first time, or if you have version 1 and you're considering cross-grading over to version 2, I hope that this video was helpful to you. Leave likes and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to do that, right? And also leave comments inside of the comment section. Let me know if you are a Peculiar Sounds version 2 owner. What kind of things do you like? Are there specific patches that you found or layers that you've done that you'd like to share with the community? Feel free to leave that stuff in the comment section. And of course, any other kinds of questions and things like that are welcome. All right. Great having you guys for another video, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. If you haven't watched some of the content before, go back. Look at some of the other content that's there, because it's going to be really good for you and it's going to bless you. All right, looking forward to seeing you guys again soon. Peace.